through to 4 in the studio this afternoon. John Robinson, Director of Music and Organist at Blackburn Cathedral, and Dr. John Bertalot. He installed the organ. 50th anniversary of the organ being installed in the cathedral. There is a special event on the 2nd of February, and performances coming through the coming weeks and also the months as well. John Robinson, you have to have special shoes, I think, to play this organ.
Believe it or not, you do. They have to have thin enough soles to be able to feel those keys, because if you think about playing the piano, a lot of that's done by touch, and playing the organ pedals especially, because you can't be looking down all the time. So you've got to be able to feel those keys, and so you also have to have higher heels than you might normally wear to be able to use a heel and toe technique to play.
And Dr. John Bertalot, you were saying that some people actually don't bother with the shoes; they play them just with the feet.
Yes, well, Richard Tanner, who was organist here last but one, had an organ built in his house, and he used to practice before breakfast, and so he got used to playing the organ without shoes. And so when he came to give a recital in Blackburn Cathedral, he played without shoes, and it's quite remarkable to see that happen.
I'm always frightened of stubbing my toe. That's the reason I don't do that.
I mean, how long does it take to set up before you play it? Do you have to get there before anyone else in?
Definitely. So it's not like taking your violin out of the case and tuning it. With an organ, you've got to have set it up the night before in an empty building, really, so you've got time to hear all the sounds that are possible. And on an organ like this, it takes ages to get used to the many possibilities, and I think there isn't time in a lifetime to get used to all the sounds this organ makes.
So before you got the job here then, did you have to do an audition?
Yeah, very much so, yeah, and it's also true that I knew the sound of the organ from recordings because it's been so much recorded, it being quite a famous organ of its type, and so it was an organ I was really excited to come and get to know better.
Does it take much maintenance?
Yes, it does actually. I mean, it needs to be tuned regularly and it needs to be kept in order and things like that, because everything's handmade in an organ like this. It's a real sort of artistic endeavour building an organ of that scale. It's not like an electric keyboard where a factory makes all the bits.
Are you a bit precious then, or do you mind other people coming to play it?
It depends who they are. If they're young and enthusiastic, we love them to get a good taste of the organ and have that inspire them for life. But we are a little bit precious about having hundreds of people play it.
I mean, although there's only one instrument, it's got so many voices. You're like the conductor of a huge orchestra there, aren't you?
That's very true, actually. A lot of Beethoven symphonies were heard for the first time to audiences through the organ because of the cost of a symphony orchestra compared to an organ. It was, if you think about the big concert halls, organs were very much an orchestra, and this one here is no exception. It's incredibly colourful.
And Dr. John Bertalot, are you tempted still to have a go at the one across the road?
Well, there are so many brilliant organists around, and especially John Robinson, who's the finest organist I've ever heard, and so it's wonderful to have him here.
But you're not tempted to have a go still after all these years?
I shall play very few notes on Sunday when I addressed the throng. But John Robinson's going to finish off by playing some decent music.
You have a student player as well, I think. John.
We have an organ scholar every year here, that's right. And this year, our organ scholar, Giles Longstaff's grandfather, was the director of music at Queggs here, so he's a Blackburn native in some ways, although from Oxford now, and he's off back to Oxford next year to be organ scholar at Worcester College.
And you've got a fabulous programme that you've put together here.
We've got lots of great events coming up. First of all, of course, this Sunday at 2 p.m. after the 10:30 service, there'll be cake. There'll be a cake that looks like an organ that everyone's welcome to come and have some of. And then an event at 2 o'clock when John will be talking about the plans that went into the organ and those exciting stories behind its creation. And I'll be playing it a bit then as well.
Can you play Happy Birthday on it, or do you reckon people will frown upon that?
I don't know. Perhaps give it a go.
You could try it. John, you could try that,
That's
can't
your
you?
task. Your task, John, when you go back. I will come over and record it.
Yeah.
Very good, it's a deal.
So, obviously, a busy weekend for you. Are you looking forward to it?
Very much so. Every weekend is busy in Blackburn Cathedral.
And it's, I'd say, a lovely cathedral, isn't it?
It really is. It feels like... It somehow feels like a massive cathedral when you're in it because the architecture is so skillfully built, but at the same time it's not huge and it's just a really friendly place, and as usual the people make a place and the people there are really wonderful.
Well, John Robinson and Dr. John Bertalot, thanks for joining us this afternoon. You're going to play out, John.
Oh, great.
For us this afternoon. John Robinson, Director of Music and Organist at Blackburn Cathedral. Let's hear a little bit of that fantastic organ.